Today's Veda might become the most favorite video I have ever made in my entire life. This idea is really big and really complicated and not something easy to grasp. It's the reason that it's so tempting to accept what the ego does to us and not to step outside of the ego and see it for what it is and be the knower more than the thinker. The ego's greatest lie, our mind's greatest lie, that maybe 90 to 95% of humanity believes, willingly believes it, because of disillusion, is that all this is separate from me. And it's not. And let me explain. Everything in this room is stardust. Everything in this room is made of atoms, the building blocks of life, and this is more of the scientific way. All of the humans on Earth are connected to each other biologically, to the Earth chemically, and to the universe atomically. We all originate from the same source. We're all manifested form around consciousness or just atoms. This ideal of interconnectedness with all that is very liberating. It's very freeing to think that I am the bird, I'm the whale, I am the shark. It's all connected. In other videos I've talked about how the mind loves to label and judge, and that's what the ego does. The ego separates everything, labels, fixes, judges, condemns, complains, does everything it can to build its sense of value up, to create a false sense of self, and to separate itself from everything else that exists. Oh, I'm better than that person. Oh, this animal's inferior to me. I have power over it. I'm going to survive, be remembered, and never be forgotten. That's the ego. I'm better than you are. I'm on a pedestal. You should worship me. I'm better. I'm stronger. I'm more fit. I'm better than you. My value is higher. No. 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 Everything is interconnected. Everything is made of stardust. Everything has equal intrinsic value. That is interconnectedness. There's a good quote by Neil deGrasse Tyson on about the universe. We are part of the universe, we are in the universe, but perhaps more important than both of those facts, the universe is in us. The space inside of us. There's more space inside of me than there is actual form. Like, what is all this space? It's all this space that makes form actually able to exist. We are a part of the universe and a part of existence just by being alive. We are a participant in it. We are not separate from it. I don't have to go down the street to that house to be a part of the universe. By living right now, I'm a part of it. Just by being alive. There's a really good commencement speech by Jim Carrey that reminds me of this as well. The need to be accepted can make you invisible in this world. And what he means by that is our ego's ability to create a false sense of self, to create something separate from who we truly are, because it doesn't seem true. Boy, the ego hates this. Inherently hates this. Every human being is intrinsically valuable on the inside, no matter what. Everything. So everything is intrinsically valuable. And the ego hates that because the ego wants to survive and create a false sense of self in order to stand out and to fit in and to be better and to just... My soul is not contained within my body is contained within the limitlessness of my soul. One unified field. All of it. Even the haters. There is no reality the mind can create that is as compelling as the present moment. The moment you find salvation and you find interconnectedness is the moment that you realize that you don't have to seek it to find it. It's right now. All the time. Every second. It's a silent, abiding presence. With this oneness and realization of oneness with everything that is, comes a certain joy that has no opposite. True love, the oneness with everything that is, and the acceptance of that, that has no opposite. With the ego gone, right? Ego's up here. I sense it. I sense its feelings. I sense what it's thinking. But with that joy of stepping outside the ego and not worrying about survival and not worrying about being remembered and everything and not worrying about that person watching me that's walking down the sidewalk, it's freeing. There's a joy to that. A joy of being alive that has no opposite. It originates from being on the inside. There's no opposite to it. Happiness depends on circumstance. Sadness depends on circumstance. Those are dualities. Joy, the joy of being, is the radiant joy of being alive and the unshakable peace that comes with that feeling. That is joy. And with that joy comes love for all that is. Love is a feeling of oneness with everything that is, even your enemies. You know the ego's taken over them and your enemies. You know that they're unconscious and they're not present and they're not aware, but you still love them for who they are, not for the false self that they create. Exactly. But people don't let you see their authentic selves, do they? They let you see their false self. Go figure, right? Enlightenment isn't some sort of unreachable salvation that you have to obtain in the future just as like a success, the idea of success. Enlightenment is just living now, right now. If there is not presence, joy, and the openness to all beings, and the love of all that is, and the acceptance of all that is, there's no enlightenment. The opportunity that is conceived within every crisis does not manifest until all the facts of any situation are acknowledged and fully accepted. Only when you accept what is can you begin the real work of adjusting to it. There's resistance if you don't accept what is. And if you really think simply, and think of examples, you can see it in movies. You can see it in Kung Fu Panda with Inner Peace. You can see it in How to Train Your Dragon 2 when Hiccup realizes that all the Vikings are wrong about dragons. Dragons are intrinsically valuable as well, as long as we trust and work with them, and they have the giant queen dragon. You can see it in Jim Carrey's speech. You can see it in video games like Beyond Two Souls. You can see it in video games like Halo. It's everywhere. Because all the things we create either go against that with resistance and don't see and accept reality as it is, or they go for it, and the values and lessons portrayed in those actual stories that are created are representative of that truth. There's two sides. You can't not pick a side. Another point I want to make out here is how the mind loves to identify. I posted a tweet earlier yesterday that said labeling is easier than learning. When you have a label and you fixate it on something, you take all that's conditioned in your mind from the past and, well, not from the future, maybe from the future and your expectations. You take all that and you label the thing to think that you understand it. That prevents you from learning about it, from being open, from being vulnerable, from actually listening and learning and taking in the knowledge and applying it and growing your understanding of complexity. You go, no, this is black and white. I'm going to label this, that's the way it is, and now I understand it, and now I can respond well enough to it, and destroy it, or make it on my own team of survival against all of human race and kind. That's a little extreme. But the mind loves to exclude. It loves to separate and judge and calculate. I can't believe I haven't figured this out earlier in my life. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's why so much of us want to fit in with the collective identity that's created when we can't look deeper. These dualities are created by the mind, the good and the bad, the happy and sad. All of these are created based off of circumstance. Oh, I had a good day today. What defines good? When people ask you how you are and you respond, oh, I'm good, what does that mean? Depends on the conditions and the expectations. And I don't know about you, but I like joy a lot better because joy isn't dependent on circumstance. I could be, in extreme cases, laying in a bed, paralyzed, reading a book, not moving parts of my body, and I could still be joyful. Joy is something that no one can ever take away from you. As much as that is extremely difficult to say, I know there are exceptions. If your brain's damaged, you can't communicate differently. But even if you can't communicate it, you still have that capacity. Unless your brain is obscenely damaged, which does happen to people. It changes people. Brains are complicated. Labeling is easier than learning. Building an armor around yourself so every other collective unconscious human mind can see you as you want them to see you, a false sense of self, is easier than letting the armor go, as Jim Carrey says, and being seen in all your glory. We are not the avatars that we create. We are not the film stock. We are the light that shines beneath the canvas. All else is smoke and mirrors. That's partially paraphrased, but that's what Jim Carrey says. My second point here are the things that people can never take away from you. They can never take away your ability to do things that are very simple, like dancing, most of the time. Depends on your physical differences in your form. Reading, writing, creating, singing. These are limited to form because it's breathing and things, but one of them actually too is just the capacity to be vulnerable and to love all that is, as it is, and accept it. It's only when we accept all that is that we can respond efficiently to it. Because if we don't accept what is, we're constantly resisting everything that is. This is some deep stuff. I'm serious. This is complicated things. The point I wanted to make as well is the present moment is always a portal for appreciation and love and gratitude. I don't have to visit a specific place under certain conditions to actually appreciate and be grateful for where I am and what I'm able to do and the fact that I'm alive. I don't have to do that. I can do that here, 50 years from now, doesn't matter. Not dictated by conditions. Hi, person. And this is another thing I've come to love. If you are open to all that is, if you love all that is, right? You love oneness, integrity, wholeness. If you're one and love all that is, you just love everything in varying degrees. You don't hate anything. I don't know this person, but I don't hate them. If family members are close to me and friends close to me, I probably love in a higher degree than I love cheese. Some people love cheese more than their family members. There's nothing wrong with that, it's just kind of odd. There's the label again, I'm labeling it. It's a different way of expressing. Just as the sun's light is not selective of planet Earth, the love of oneness with all that is not selective either. You love things in varying degrees. Why would you hate different brands of deodorant? Doesn't make any sense. And in Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, my last point here is the idea that life events, challenges, relationships, everything, are supposed to make you more conscious instead of happy. I understand happiness is a priority. It really is. What is happiness? What's the difference between happy and joy? Why is joy not dependent on circumstance, but happiness has expectations? And so you set yourself up for disappointment if you expect something to happen a certain way and it doesn't, and then you're just devastated. Better to be conscious than happy. Being conscious, you're aware of fundamental life truths. That makes me joyful. Knowing things as they are, being able to see things and being able to see through things to the truth, instead of accepting disillusionment and accepting the background noise of perpetual discontent from the ego. I'm so tired of winter. I'm so tired of snow. Why isn't it summer already? Complaining. Well, this guy's so annoying. He won't stop bugging me. He's so resisting. Complaining. I wish I'd never met him. Condemning. He's such a better color than blue. Why does blue exist? Calculating. You can see how easy it is. Complaining is so easy. This is a mindful rant, isn't it? You're not supposed to get angry at things, because then you get like a rush and you start to want to get angry and the ego's like, yeah, feed it. No. How many people in life does it take for you to be grateful and to be present and to appreciate what's happening at this moment? You're seeing a former now, but right now, where you're sitting watching me, right now. How many people does it take to turn that into some sort of spiritual practice and to be grateful and to be present? None. It just takes you. That's it. It doesn't take anybody else. The ego's in charge when you defend a false sense of self. And you start to externally divide everything, and you start to present a front to everybody because you want people to see you in a certain way. So that's really all for Veda. You can tell I'm very passionate about these ideas and big truths. Mr. Eckhart Tolle himself. Love is not selective, just as the light of the sun is not selective. I feel that piece. I do. Every once in a while, somebody unconscious will drift my ego up above me and get me to respond and react to everything, being reactive instead of being proactive. Acting your way into a feeling, not feeling your way into an action. That happens a lot. It happens. But then I stop myself and I go, no ego. I'm just gonna be present and listen and not react. I'm gonna feel my way into an action and stop it before I react. So that's all. Mindfulness is our cow skin, and if your cow skin is not very thick, your ego gets enticed very easily. And I don't want that, at least, to be part of my life. What do you think of this? What's interesting about this? Do you resonate with any of this? Are you absolutely against any of this? What is your ego saying? What is your perpetual brain noise commenting about all of this stuff? It's interesting. It's very, very interesting to me because I see it everywhere now that I understand it. Crazy. It's really crazy. What are your thoughts? Let me know down on my diaphragm. I haven't said that in a long time. Happy Veda. Veda day 6. I gotta edit and upload this. It's gonna be hard because I talk a lot. I do a lot of straight takes. Figure it out. Keep being your awesome self. Don't forget to be awesome. And don't forget to silence your ego and step outside of your ego and be deeper part of your presence and your being. Don't willingly give in to the ego's idea of separateness from all that is, because being one with all that is, atomically and spiritually, as in your core, your being, that's a phenomenal and joyous feeling. Buddy Polka.